Blog Talk Radio.
I need that. What? Shut up. What you mean? What you think? What? Oh hey. What? You got me confused. What? Now we can't link. What? Tiptoe, my eyes cold. Gone, ain't long gone. Butterscotch is like gold. I'ma wrap that in the bowl. Big gift. What? Shut up. What you mean? What you think? What? Oh, hey. What?
That is the sounds of Jordan Pauline and a beautiful, adorable little songstress out of L.A. That's one of her latest singles, What? I had the opportunity for her to grace me with her presence a few months ago, and really go-getter and just a beautiful artist. You can follow her on Instagram. It's Jordan Pauline. So let's get into, without further ado, tonight's or today's featured guest, or whatever part of the world you're in. He goes by Arson. He's a recording artist out of West Philly, who is known for having a soulful, edgy, retroactive style of hip-hop music. He describes his lyrical styles as a rapid-fire flow with a contemporary and entertaining conscious direction. He advocates positive change for individuals and urban communities and has a worldwide following known as the Fire Family. Arson's latest album, Want, is currently rated 5 stars on Google Play and iTunes. Music videos from the album have been featured on BT, MTV, and singles, and the album has been in rotation on the national mainstream radio. He got the idea for his stage name during a cypher when the crowd began to scream fire, and every time he performed. So one day he looked up different synonyms for fire and found words that reflected his lyrics like passion and intensity. He came up with the name Arson, which was later changed to Arson, which is Arsin, our sin. His philosophy was that our sin, the idea of right and wrong, affects our values in society in terms of classism, racism, political, religious ideologies, and he uses his music to reflect his experience with those issues. So without further ado, I would love to introduce my featured guest for today. Gracing my presence is Arson out of West Philly. How are you?
Yeah. How you doing today? I'm great. I'm feeling good.
That's what's up. Thank you for being on the show. And Arson, so since we're getting into out of West Philly, and how long did it take you or for you to get to the status you are now, being a native of West Philly? Because it can be rough out there, but Philly has put several artists on the map that are from Philly that have definitely, put Philly on the map. And, of course, we all know Will Smith and Freeway, We got Vero the Virus. We've got a few others, to say the least, like, Reef, the Lost Cause, Out of Space, to name a few. And so now you are, of course, Schoolie D. Everybody knows who Schoolie D is, old school. So now we have Arson to add to that list. And how did that come about, Arson?
Well, I mean, I started in middle school. I just started rapping because I found some tapes on the ground. It was actually Brand Nubians at the time, and I actually started listening to them. And then later on, I got into listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony. I got into listening to Tupac, Nas, Eminem. And for me, I just wanted to express myself. I mean, it was crazy things going on. As a 10, 11-year-old from West Philadelphia, seeing people get killed, a lot of drugs, a lot of people on drugs, a lot of people selling drugs. And the only way out was my mind. Physically, I couldn't go nowhere at the time because that was just a situation that me and my family was in. But mentally, seeing hip-hop and seeing other artists, and at that time, there was no social media, so all you really could do was pop in a CD or a tape and just hear somebody else's story. So I wanted to do that, and it started when I did a talent show in middle school, and I performed a song, and, the news station was there. The crowd went crazy, and from that point on, I was like, dang, I can really express myself, but I also can, entertain people and make people take a minute to step out of what they're going through. So it started there. I started doing talent shows. I was in a couple rap groups at the time. Broke up, got into another rap group. We won a lot of talent shows, and then later on I went solo, kept doing the talent shows and the showcases and hitting the streets. And like I said, this was before internet, so we was out there in the cold, in the heat.
If you could tell
posters,
me, let me say this: what year was this? What? Because for myself, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from New York. I can relate to, a lot of things you're talking about because New York is the birthplace of hip hop. So when I was a young girl born in '73, not to say my age, but you get to see a lot growing up. My father is a 5%er. He's very proactive and very revolutionary, as you could say. And growing up in New York City, I was blessed to leave at 8 years old. My mother married a Marine, and we were gone. But as I got older, maybe like 13, 14, 15, coming back to New York around then, that had been in the 80s, in your 80s or something, and crack cocaine down the road became a big epidemic. Before that, it was heroin, which went rampant in the streets of Harlem. Case in point, while we have stories like Bumpy Johnson, and they were heroes and villains at the same time. And the heroin epidemic took us by storm, killed a lot of our people. Crack epidemic, brothers and sisters, some of them dying to it, some making money off of it, some rapping about it. So I relate to you, but what year or what was the time frame in the year that you stepped into that arena of hip-hop? What year was that?
I would say it was like 2000, 2001. I was in like 8th grade. That's when I really started performing and started my first time going to the studio. I was 12. So that was the beginning stages at that time. I mean, back before FedEx, it was Kinko's. So I would go to Kinko's and make my CDs, my covers, and I would go to school. And I would just give them out in school, and a lot of people, when you first start, they don't really, my peers were worrying about, like, Pokemon cards and stuff. They wasn't really into what I was into, but that's when it started. I mean, it got more serious. The grind got more serious in, like, 2004, 2005, 2006, when I really started. That was my first time being on radio, doing a radio interview with Patty Jackson, the legendary Patty Jackson. She was the first person to ever do an interview with me. I would bug her to death every day, email her, I'm trying to get on the radio, And
I wish I would have known you back then, because honestly, I was doing radio at the age of 20, 04, I entered into radio at Foxy 107, 104, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's owned by Radio 1. And I'm still friends with all of my colleagues that work at that radio station. Had we known each other back then, we would definitely put you on the mixtape special with Brothers and Sisters Go. So that's crazy how
everything comes around. It was actually Radio 1. It was Radio 1. It was DJ Touchstone,
cool.
Colby Cole.
Oh, no.
They was the ones, the first ones to put me on air. So, no, I appreciate that. And they gave me a nice interview, like a nice one, like live on air, like 20, 30 minutes. I was, like, really appreciative of that. So that was, like, the time frame when I got started.
Now, how old were you? You don't mind me asking.
Well, I got now or then?
Then.
Oh, at the time when I first started recording, I was 12. But when I started taking it serious,
like when you did the interview with Radio 1.
Oh yeah, I was when I did the interview with Radio 1, I was 18.
Okay, so you were still a young man pursuing your dream. And did you have support from like your Fire family back then, or what was
at the time
like?
it wasn't no fire. It was just kind of a movement. I mean, I was grinding so hard, man. Like if y'all go look at the interview with me and DJ Touchstone, you'll hear him say I'm the hardest working artist in Philadelphia. You know, a lot of other artists at the time, they had like back ends, like they had Charlie Max, they had Cosmic Kev behind them, a lot of the gatekeepers in the city. But with me, I just had me, you know, and I had to build my following. I had to, you know, recruit people. So, I had the support, you know, but it came from a lot of grinding and from muscle. It wasn't really nobody co-signing me, you know, at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of other artists was getting co-signs from people, like I said, those gatekeepers. And they always had, like, you know, people, you know, co-signing them and all of that. I had to earn it, so definitely had the support, but it was from the muscle.
Yeah, because for me, I have to admit, in the 90s, this was in the 90s when I was living in New York City. I had left Virginia State University to pursue my dreams. So I moved back home to New York, and I was working in 2 recording studios at the time, like Platinum Island Recording Studio in Green Street.
Yeah.
I was doing my thing, promoting parties and nightclubs like Tunnel, Nels, all these other hot spots in New York in my early 20s. So I remember through some friends of mine listening to the Roots crew when they came out with that song, The Silent Treatment. You know what I mean? And that, you know, and that other I shall proceed to continue to rock the mic, that's when I got turned on. Even though Will Smith and all them, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince was definitely an impact, but something about the Roots crew really drew me. And then Freeway as well. Like when Freeway came out, that's what really, in my mind, the Roots crew and Freeway, because Freeway, I believe, is down like with Jay. And it was just something about the way, you know, the style, the way their flow, that's what really made me start paying attention to Philly artists. And then you have a songbird like Jill Scott, who is just an amazing poet, lyricist, artist, and she comes from Philly. So for you to come from such a powerful powerhouse place. Yeah.
You got Gambler House too. Gambler
so,
House. Frankie Beverly and Maze. It's just a musical, artistic city.
Just like, and I love that. So when did you start finding yourself getting into live performances, having a camp around you? How did that begin for you after having the radio interview? Was there a buzz, or did you have a break where it was just like nobody's putting me on, frustration? Tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, the thing about it is, it was so many changes. We was going from a time of CDs into, you know, online and MP3s and streaming. So the whole industry was just changing, and it was changing. I didn't see it at the time, but it was changing for the better for independent artists. But, yes, there was a lot of frustration because I got 50 people calling the radio station like they tell them to call,